What is going on, beautiful people of the world? My name is Garrett Wolf, and I am the host of the #1 podcast for people who are trying to go from saggy flabs to six-pack abs. I've built my body over the last 8 years, and in the last 3 years, I've helped hundreds of online clients shred unwanted fat and embody the best version of themselves. Now, let's jump right into today's show. What is going on, everybody, and welcome back to the Alpha Movement Podcast. This is the #1 show for people who are trying to go from saggy flabs to six-pack abs, all without giving up the most enjoyable aspects of their life. In today's episode, we are going to be talking about 5 reasons that you might be struggling to lose weight. And I wrote all these reasons, all these different reasons under the preface that you already think you're in a caloric deficit, or you are already in a caloric deficit. I wasn't supposed to say the word think because that's kind of a dead giveaway, but under the preface that you already are in a caloric deficit. So these are different reasons that you might not be able to lose weight, why you might be struggling to lose some weight. And don't think that you're immune to these reasons, because some of these reasons come directly from my own recent experience. All right, guys. So you already know the deal. If at any point during this episode you enjoy what I have to say, or you think what I have to say is valuable, then please screenshot my face, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me at _Garrett Wolf, and I will reshare it to my story and send you a free gift. Other than that, guys, we're going to hop right into it today. These are the 5 reasons that you might be struggling to lose weight under the preface that you're already in a caloric deficit. All right, guys? So the #1 reason you might not be able to lose weight, even though you're in a caloric deficit, is that you're simply not moving enough. This is something that a lot of people fail to understand, right? Because the average person only gets 4,000 steps per day, which is crazy. You think about 4,000 steps, you kind of walk that in like 10 to 20 minutes of walking. Realistically, like 20, honestly. 20 to 25 minutes at about a 3 to 3.5 mile per hour on a treadmill gets you 4,000 steps. So it's pretty alarming. It's pretty crazy that the average person only gets about 4,000 steps. If you're in my 14-day challenge, like my boy Tyson, who's tuning in right now, then I have you guys prescribed at walking 10,000 steps per day. And the reason you want to walk 10,000 steps per day rather than just hitting 4,000 steps per day is because you need to get enough nutrients in your diet to be able to keep up with your muscle protein synthesis. So you need to be able to hold on to your muscle while still losing fat. The problem with cutting your calories, slashing your calories to these low amounts like, 1,500, 1,600 that we're seeing people cut down to when they're trying to lose weight, is that you're now not getting enough nutrients to preserve your muscle mass. So your body's going to pare down all things, not just fat. It's going to pare down your muscle. It's going to pare down your water weight. It's going to pare down everything. So you're going to start shrinking and turning into like a little stick figure. You're going to start shriveling up like a raisin, and you're not going to be able to keep up with your lifestyle. This is why you need to introduce walks, or you need to move more. But what you don't want to do is go for runs, right? Because we talk about how runs are terrible for fat loss. You don't want to go for runs. You want to introduce walks or just more movement throughout the day. A few strategies you can go about doing this with is just, park farther away when you go to the grocery store. Like, everyone's trying to get the closest parking spot to the door, right? Just park a little bit farther away, and that'll, in turn yield you more walking. It'll yield you more steps. Or something that I did was I got a stand-up desk. So now when I'm working, obviously not doing the pod, but when I'm working, I can stand up, I can move around, I can walk around, or, you can just incorporate a nice mindset walk in the morning every single day. First thing in the morning, when you wake up, go outside, go for a walk, get some steps in. And this way, you can increase the amount of calories that you're eating throughout the day, not only to make you more satiated, not only to make you feel better, but also to give you the amount of micro and macronutrients that you need to preserve your muscle mass, #1, because we all know muscle is very thermoactive. So that's going to burn more calories. So we're preserving muscle, so we're burning more calories. We're literally burning more calories by walking, expending more energy throughout the day. In this way, you're not going to pare down your muscle, and you're not going to lose, the thing that burns the most fat on your body, which is, obviously muscle. And that leads me into the #2 reason that you might be struggling to lose weight, even though you're in a caloric deficit, is that your metabolism is too slow. This one drives me crazy. People are always like, my metabolism is too slow. I simply can't lose weight. It's just impossible, right? And this could not be further from the truth because your metabolism is malleable. Your metabolism directly correlates with how much muscle you have. So how much muscle mass you have on your body. And it's kind of like this reoccurring cycle, right? People kind of cut down, they lose all their muscle, they lose a little bit of fat. They honestly likely lose more muscle than they do fat, though. That's the typical sequence. You cut down, you kind of pare down a lot of muscle, and then you lose a little bit of fat. But now you're burning 200 to 300 less calories because of the muscle that you've pared down. So then you just can't keep up with it, right? You have to keep dropping your calories, keep dropping your calories. You're already eating like 1600. Then you pare down a bunch of muscle. Then you have to drop it even more, 1500, 1400. Now you're not getting the nutrients that you need. So to preserve your muscle. So it's going to just keep dropping. And eventually you're going to hit a plateau because you're not getting the micros and macronutrients that you need in order to stay in a sustainable caloric deficit. So how you can fix this problem is basically what I do to any skinny fat man, any skinny fat client that might come my way, is I teach them to put muscle on first. You need to pack muscle on for at least 1 to 3 months. You got to give it some time. Building muscle, again, it's a very stubborn tissue. It takes a lot of time to put on that muscle. So you're going to want to just build muscle because this is going to ramp up your metabolism. Odds are you're already in a caloric surplus anyway if you're trying to cut down because you're not going to cut down if you're skinny. You're going to cut down if you're either skinny fat or fat. So odds are if you're skinny fat or fat, you're already in a calorie deficit or a little bit above maintenance at the end of the day anyway. So just work with your body instead of trying to go against your body, instead of trying to go against the grain, throwing spaghetti at the wall, hoping you can make some progress. Just work with your body. Gain some muscle for 1 to 3 months. Go for the long-term approach. Do you want to be shredded for one summer or do you want to be shredded for every other summer to come after that? Build some muscle, ramp up that metabolism, and then you can start cutting down once your metabolism is already raised. Once you're burning an extra 200 to 300 calories throughout the day, it's going to become a whole lot easier for you to lose that fat because metabolism, again, it's a very thermoactive tissue. It burns a lot of calories throughout the day, and it's just going to be a lot easier, frankly. Plus, at the end of the day, do you want to be like a stick figure? Do you want to be super skinny or do you want to be muscular? Most people don't want to be like a stick figure, super skinny. They want to be sort of lean, muscular, toned, athletic looking. And to do all of those things, you need muscle. And odds are if you're a skinny fat man, you don't have muscle at the end of the day anyway. Or if you're fatter, more overweight of a person, you don't have a lot of muscle to cut down to anyway. So it's going to be pointless for you to cut down all that fat to reveal what? Nothing at the end of the day. You're going to just reveal you're going to be skinny. This is the typical thing that happens to someone who's overweight. They think, fuck, I'm overweight. I need to cut all these calories. I need to cut my macros, slice what I'm eating in half. And then at the end of the day, they just end up with a skinny fat body rather than being fat. And honestly, being skinny fat is not that much better than being fat. It's really like more or less the same thing. So what you should do if your metabolism is slow, if you're someone who identifies with a slow metabolism, this shit drives me crazy. Just increase your calories, not by a lot, 100 to 300. Add some protein. Try to add some protein into your diet and just gain some muscle. Hit the gym, gain some muscle 1 to 3 months, and you will be able to cut down later on. I promise you. This is a crazy reoccurring cycle that I see over and over and over again that you do not want to get trapped into. So the number 3 reason that you might not be able to lose weight, even though you're in a calorie deficit, is your. This one's crazy, all right? This one's something that I was struggling with, is you're mistracking your foods. So clients often come to me and they're like, I'm eating in a calorie deficit, and I'm not losing weight. And I look over their meal plan, I look over what they're eating, and I'm like, yeah, shit, you are in a calorie deficit, huh? You've been in a deficit for 2-3 weeks and you're still not losing weight. What's going on there? And it's because you're mistracking or misweighing the foods that you're eating. This happens way more often than you might think because me personally, I've been tracking my macros and calories on MyFitnessPal for 5 to 6 years, more like 6 years at this point. And then if you guys have been following me for a while now, you know that I'm doing a contest prep right now. We're currently 8 weeks out. And when I hired my coach, he looked over my MyFitnessPal over the last, not 5 years, but over the last few months just to see where I'm at, see what I've been doing. And he's like, brother, you've been mistracking your foods. And I was like, what are you talking about, mistracking my foods? He's like, look at this, you didn't log dinner. You think, you didn't log this correctly. You have a very low amount here. It says you only ate 1 teaspoon. Are you sure you only ate 1 teaspoon? It says you only ate 100 grams. Did you weigh it out, or did you eyeball it? Did you look it over and make sure that you were actually eating 100 grams, or did you just kind of eyeball it? Are you really eating 1 to 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, or did you just take the spoon, scoop out a giant scoop and put it in your mouth at the end of the day? Or did you just take a knife, scoop it out of there, put it on your bread right at the end of the day? Or did you just, make some toast, scoop a little bit of butter out of the pan and put it on your toast and then call that a tablespoon? Or is it really a tablespoon? The difference can be drastic, guys. It can be up to like ×2 the amount of calories that you actually think you're eating throughout the day. And I was like, damn, this kind of hurt me a little bit. It hurt my ego a little bit, because I was like, damn, I've been tracking for 5 years, but he's saying that I've been tracking incorrectly. And it's like, he's right though, because at the end of the day, you start to get lazy with how you track. I started to not track my dinners just because I would eyeball it and kind of think, this dinner's about 500 calories. This dinner's about 600 calories, 30 grams of protein. I don't need to track it because I already know. I already know that it's like this certain amount of macros, this certain amount of calories, and I don't need to track it because I'm a professional, right? And then he comes along, another professional, and he's like, so he's been working out 15 years. I've been working out 8 years. So he's almost got double the amount of professional experience as I do, right? So he comes along and he's like, man, you've been mistracking your foods, and so I'm not going to let you track your foods anymore. I'm going to give you a diet plan that you have to stick to. And I was like, damn it, all right, shit. So that's what we went about doing, and the progress was insane. I'm now currently defying the laws of fitness because I'm gaining muscle and losing fat at the same time. And I've been training for 8+ years. And if you know anything about training, you know that you're not supposed to be able to do that after like the first 1 to 3 years of initial muscle growth. You're not supposed to be able to gain muscle and lose fat at the same time. So I'm kind of defying the laws of physics. So I'm kind of starting to think that this whole tracking properly and making sure that you're eating the right foods, the nutritious foods, the foods that have the good macros and the good micros, is really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And I'm going to get into that later. That's another point on this here note card. But if you're someone who tracks their food and you think you're in a calorie deficit and you still can't lose weight, you might not be able to lose weight, or you might be struggling with losing weight because you're simply mistracking your food. So I want you guys to just try tracking for just 1 week. Just try tracking everything that you eat. Buy a food scale. They're like $10 on Amazon, 2-day shipping. You can get that shit overnight. Start tracking your food. Weigh it out, get a teaspoon, get a tablespoon measuring thing, and just measure everything that you're consuming and make sure you're tracking properly. And if you are not, then that is probably the reason that you're in a calorie deficit and still are struggling to lose weight. The fourth reason that you're in a calorie deficit and you might still be struggling to lose weight is because you're running instead of walking. This one is hilarious because everybody comes into my comments, everybody comes into my DMs, and they're like, bro, why would you walk instead of run? Why would you go for walks instead of run? Running obviously burns more calories. Running obviously burns more than walking does during this, an hour of running will burn more calories than an hour of walking. And that's true. That is in fact true. An hour of running will burn more calories than an hour of walking. But here's the problem. Your body has different energy system pathways. I've talked about this on the podcast before. Your body has different energy system pathways. When you're going for a long distance run, your body utilizes a different energy system pathway than it does when you're going for walks, all right? And when you're utilizing this energy system pathway, when you're going for runs, you're quite literally teaching your body how to get better at running. We talk about this all the time. Your body's an adaptation machine. It will adapt to any stimulus that it's put under. So if you're constantly going for runs, like 3 times a week, right? When you incorporate cardio into your routine, typically it's like 3 to 4 days a week that you're going to incorporate it, right? So you're running 3 to 4 times a week. You're teaching your body to get better at running. So what happens when you teach your body to get better at running? Number one, it needs to pare down muscle because your body doesn't like running with all this extra weight. The leaner and the smaller that you are, the easier and the better you're going to be at running. So it's going to pare down muscle. That is a fact. That is true because it needs to pull energy from this system pathway. It will pull energy from your muscles. It will pull energy from your fat as well, but it will pull more energy from your muscles because it would prefer to lean out. It would prefer to lean down so that it's more lightweight, because muscle weighs more than fat and your body wants to be better at running. It's going to be more lightweight and it's going to be better at running. It'll pare down your fat too, but it'll pare down your muscle as well. So you're going to turn into a skinny fat man again. So you ever looked at a marathon runner, right? They're sort of super duper lean with no muscle, right? Because it pares down their muscle and their fat. And this is not what we're going for, because again, you don't want to be overweight, you don't want to be skinny fat, and you don't want to be skinny. What we're going for is like an aesthetic, lean, muscular, kind of athletic physique. If you ever look at a sprinter, this is different. They're more lean and more muscular. They have a more developed musculature on their body because they pull from a different energy system pathway when they go for their sprints than the marathon runners do when they go for their long distance runs. This is the difference, right? Because it's not like the marathon runner trains harder than the sprinter. It's not like the marathon runner trains longer than the sprinter. They train the same amount of time, but the sprinter pulls from a different energy system pathway than the marathon runner. And that's why the sprinter holds on to his muscle mass while the marathon runner loses his muscle mass and loses his fat. And the sprinter, mind you, he pulls from the same energy system pathway that you pull from when you're kind of doing your resistance training throughout the day, right? Not throughout the day, you're not doing resistance training all day, but it's the same energy system pathway that you pull from when you're doing your resistance training. So this is why sprinters have a similar physique as people who, not bodybuilders, but people who go to the gym and hit resistance training. Because when you say the word bodybuilders, I always think of like the Ronnie Colemans and the Jay Cutlers, the giant guys. Those are the true bodybuilders, right? But a lean, muscular, athletic physique, you think of like a sprinter, you think of kind of I honestly can't think of a name right now. You're kind of like the David Lades, right? The influencers, right? The Lex Littles, the Alex Eubanks. These are the lean, muscular physiques that we're going for. So if you're running instead of walking to do cardio, this might be one of the reasons that you're in a calorie deficit and you still cannot seem to lose weight. The fifth reason that you're in a calorie deficit and you still can't seem to lose weight is because you're doing IIFYM. You're doing if it fits your macros. And again, guys, your body needs a certain amount of micro and macronutrients. This is why I am completely against if it fits your macros now. I used to be all for it, but it actually, I think it encourages kind of like it encourages a very unhealthy relationship with food, because when you're doing if it fits your macros, you're kind of thinking, all right, I can eat anything within this macro window. That's what it's all about, right? If it fits my macros, I can eat it. So it encourages you to eat whatever you want. And this is completely against the grain. It is not advantageous for you to just go around eating whatever you want, because if you go about it in that manner and you come across some cookies that look absolutely delicious and it fits your macros, you're 100% going to eat those cookies. But those cookies don't have any macros or micronutrients that are actually advantageous to you on a losing fat journey or on a fitness journey. When you're trying to gain muscle, a cookie is going to do nothing for you. And again, when you get not enough micronutrients, but you hit your macros, you're going to pare down your muscle and your fat. So you're going to turn into a stick figure at the end of the day, and you're going to be lost in this reoccurring cycle of trying to cut down, trying to cut down. I'm in a calorie deficit, but I can't seem to lose weight. What's going on? What's going on? It's because you're doing if it fits your macros, and that shit is a disease. That shit is infectious, and that shit will not be advantageous for you if you're trying to get a lean and muscular physique. So those are the 5 reasons that you're in a calorie deficit and it still cannot seem to lose weight. There's a bonus one though. A bonus one. If none of these pertain to you, if you just listen to this whole list and you're like, none of those are me, I'm in a deficit, I'm eating right, I'm eating my chicken, rice, and broccoli for every meal, I'm taking my protein shakes, I'm taking my multivitamins, I'm drinking my greens, and I'm in a calorie deficit, I don't go for runs, and I'm still not losing weight. This is a bonus tip. Just give it more time. All right, guys, sometimes your body goes through a readjustment period where it's trying to figure out what the hell is going on. It's getting all these signals, all these different things are coming in. You're changing up all these factors. Your body gets a little bit confused. And sometimes it can plateau even though you're in a weight loss deficit. Even though you've been losing weight, boom, plateau. 2 weeks, 3 weeks goes by and you're not losing any weight. Just give it more time. At the end of the day, if you truly are doing all of these things right, if you're truly eating nutritious foods, if you're truly in a deficit because you're weighing your foods, if you're truly eating nutritious foods and not doing if it fits your macros, and if you're truly going for walks instead of runs, and at the end of the day, you're still not losing weight, then simply give it time. All right. You cannot beat the laws of thermodynamics. If you're in a calorie deficit for a long enough period of time, your body will lose the fat eventually. All right. All you have to do is give it time, be patient, and wait. All right. You were kind of skinny fat for the longest time, or you might be overweight or skinny for the longest time, and now you expect your body to just make this adjustment period overnight. And I know we all want overnight results, but unfortunately science isn't there yet. We can't just take a pill and get overnight results, but hopefully I'll be alive and I'll get to see the day where that happens, so I don't have to hop on here and give you guys 6 different reasons why you're in a calorie deficit and still struggling to lose weight. But other than that, guys, that has been the podcast. I hope you guys got some value. If you did get value, please screenshot my face, share it to your Instagram stories, tag me at _Garrett Wolf, and I will share it to my story and send you a free gift. Other than that, guys, it has been your boy Garrett Wolf, and I will see you all in the next podcast episode. Peace.
Thank you so much for tuning in today. Hopefully you got some value. If you did get value and you want to learn a little bit more about how you can go from saggy flabs to 6-pack abs, just head over to my Instagram at _Garrett Wolf. DM me the word 6-pack and I'll reach out to you and see if I can help. Again, thank you guys so much for tuning in today, and I will see you all in the next podcast episode. Peace.